Welcome back to What She Said Sports. Welcome back, everybody. Have a great show planned for tonight. Make sure your notifications on. We're going to try to stay under the 2 hour limit to see if that remedies the issue from yesterday. We had to go live 3 times yesterday. So make sure your notifications are on. And I have a goal set for 5 super chats. If we get to 5 super chats within the next 45 minutes, I'll do an additional live stream tonight. And y'all can pick the topic. All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. What does it say? Hey, Willie, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You a Saints fan, right? I'm a NOLA girl too, so I know how you feel. I heard a lot of talk today, speculation on what's going to happen with the starter, who's going to be the starter in New Orleans. The Saints said they're going to hold the competition. Spencer Rattler, whoever else is on the roster, and Tyler Shaw, and that's who they rolling with. That's who they rolling with. So you're gonna have to update us on what's going on with the Saints. I refuse to look. I refuse to look. Hey, Felisa, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Marlon, welcome, welcome, welcome. Gracie, thank you. My day one moderator. Thank you, Gracie. Welcome, Crowley. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I sent out the post that says, "Do y'all want to go to class or do you want to go to church?" Because we have a discussion to get going. I said we're gonna try to stay under 2 hours to try to remedy the disconnection from yesterday, the freezing up. So we shall see. Hey, Gretchen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Marlon. Okay, so everybody, y'all say hi to everybody. We have some new members. Tuna is also a new member. Elijah, Marie. So we have some people joining. Y'all know we have memberships. We have 2 levels. Friends or family. Nothing over $10. If you're gonna hang out with us all the time, support the channel so we can get to the next level. The support thus far has got us a beautiful set and longer live streams. So the goal is there to, if we get for another live stream tonight, if it gets very exciting and we want to keep going, I'll just go off for about 15-20 minutes, come back, and we'll do a You Up live stream where we do an additional live stream and we talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. All right, so let me get into it. I had some polls out there. Y'all take the polls. I think it's 3 out there. So we're gonna talk about all 3. And all y'all have to do is just go to our page, click on post, and then take the polls. But I'll probably put the links into the chat as well. All right. So, all right. Now that we have, okay, already 21 of us. Oh, it's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night. The first thing I want to say is the NFL picked on the wrong person. The NFL decided for whatever reason to target Shedeur Sanders. Now I have some theories, and as every day goes by, clarity becomes more and more obvious here that the NFL is trying to hide behind a few things. There's some flimsy narratives out there following the draft, and of course, following rookie minicamp. We're going to talk about those. Y'all gave me some QBs to look into. I looked into Doug Williams. We're going to talk about that. I see some similarities into some of the, I guess, experiences of Doug Williams that are similar to what Shedeur had endured as well. So we're going to talk about those things. All right. So, okay. I'm looking at a tab. I think I'm going to close it out because that could have also been affecting I have a lot of tabs open. All right. So first and foremost, the NFL picked on the wrong guy. When Shedeur Sanders said he was God's favorite, he was not stunting like his daddy. He was serious. That's how he lives his life. This young man, we saw him kneel at every CU game. I posted it on draft day with either Bucky or Shiloh or someone else leaning over as he, prays for God's protection and other things. Those prayers between he and God, right? So that's not the people you want to pick on. And the only reason you pick on someone who refers to themselves as God's favorite and they're comfortable with whatever door opens because they feel like that's the one ordered by God, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. And an update for the lawsuit is out there. The NFL has not responded. That's because it has teeth, it has legs. And one of the reasons the lawsuit has legs is because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which just a few years ago in 2021, what did I say multiple times? I shared it, the post. The NFL was guilty of race norming. And y'all know that alleges the practices and policies of the NFL when it came to head injuries. They had to pay $1 billion lawsuit because the practices and policies dictated that Black NFL players have lower cognitive functioning than white NFL players, thereby asserting that Blacks are inferior to whites. This was just in 2021. And here we are again in 2025, violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Some people think it doesn't exist. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Along with the Consumer Protection Act, meaning we as fans were lured to what was supposed to be a celebratory event known as the NFL draft, where we find out where our favorite players from college are going to be playing so we could what? Buy their jerseys, follow the teams, social media, learn the schedules, celebrate, be excited, anticipate what's going to happen, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what we were lured to. We were lured to a public humiliation of a young man that refers to himself as God's favorite. And some people ask, do they think maybe that's why the NFL targeted Shedeur? Because of his, his godly nature. And I'm thinking, you don't want to do that. Do you? You don't want to do that. And anything's possible. But what we do know is he was targeted. What we do know is that there was collusion. What we do know is the NFL has a history of violating the Civil Rights Act. Before 1964 and after 1964 in 2021 with $1 billion settlement. And here we go again. And I already shared how the NFL badly discriminates against what? Black QBs. And I said, this is not about Coach Prime, which some are alleging, such as Chris Sims, who I believe played in the NFL. He might be a Hall of Famer. I think he was a quarterback. I feel like he was associated with the Falcons, but I'm not 100% certain. But what I am certain about is that Chris Sims has issued a very flimsy justification for why Shedeur Sanders was pushed down almost out of the draft. Chris Sims alleges that Shedeur Sanders was misguided, that he should have had an agent. And I'm like, for what? For what? You have an agent when you need to negotiate. What was he going to negotiate? The contracts are non-negotiable. They are 4-year rookie contracts with no incentives, non-negotiable. And the wage that you are paid for the 4 years is determined by where you are drafted. So what did he need an agent for? What? To refute the defamatory comments about him? No, he need a lawyer. He need a lawyer to go against the defamation. He don't need an agent for that. Because if you're trying to tell me if he had an agent, they wouldn't have defamed him. That's what you're trying to assert, Mr. Chris Sims. Absolutely not. And if you say that he overestimated his talent, that's BS-ery. That's BS-ery. Not only did the NFL pick on the wrong person because he's God's favorite, he has a lot of supporters that are speaking out on social media, analysts on television, and here and beyond. And I'm telling you, it's not going to lighten up anytime soon at all. I was just followed by the CU aunties today. So y'all know it's going down. Y'all know it's going down. So, when you say you're somebody auntie, y'all know what that means. And for those of you that don't know what it means to be someone's aunt, that means you step in a support role. You show up to support that person. You're the person that if mama and daddy can't pick them up from school, that's what you're going to do. You're the person, if mama and daddy are out of town or have to take work trips, they're going to stay at your house. That's what aunties do. You're the person that assists the family with making sure the little ones are good. Y'all have picked on the wrong person. These CU aunties not playing out here. They at the CU games, they have merch, they band together. They serious about Shedeur. People call me a CU auntie. Okay. How much is the fee? I'm willing to pay it. Because I don't play about Shedeur. I didn't play about Simone Biles. She got an honorary doctorate today from University of Washington, and she deserves it. And I showed up for her, and I'm showing up for Shedeur. I've been following Shedeur since high school. I feel like if I saw Miss Pilar, I would give her a hug. In fact, I sent her a happy Mother's Day. Y'all messing with the wrong person. At some point, you need to put your arrogance aside and fix this. So Shady McCoy talked about that today on the facility. Just stop playing. This man looks like a first round QB. And you know who else looks like a first round QB? Dylan Gabriel also looks like a first round QB. Now, yes, Shedeur was sharper, in my opinion, more accurate. Shedeur Sanders, I think, in my opinion, won camp, but that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise that Shedeur won camp. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And one person who I don't know who he belongs to decided to say that as a fifth round pick, the Cleveland fan base is happy, with Shedeur as the 144th pick. But he alleged that if I say he's going to be the starter, then there will be panic. I'm like, excuse me? I don't know what the term is, desperate as the Cleveland fan base is to win after having 40 QBs take snaps as starter in 25 years since 1999, y'all better take what you can get. Because to be honest, there are a lot of people out here who believe that Shedeur Sanders is too good for Cleveland. I know I'm one person. I have no problem with saying it. And I think one of the problems the Cleveland fan base has is they don't know talent when they see it, because so many people have been shoved and revolved in and out of there that they don't know what talent is. And maybe they're a little sketchy. Maybe they're a little sketchy because they're like, is this going to be the one? Okay, that's a Cleveland organization problem. Shedeur Sanders is that guy. And if you don't know, go all the way back to high school. The overtime series from when Shedeur was in high school, I know sometime last year it was at 3 million. It is at 6.4 or 6.7 million. People have been watching the series from high school that followed him. So go watch that first. Then you can go watch Jackson State. It does exist. CU is not his only university where he balled out. He's a transformative QB. If anybody needs Shedeur, it's the Cleveland Browns. But I don't believe the organization appreciates Shedeur. And they're trying to still push this distraction narrative. How is he a distraction? You mad because he's famous? He hasn't done anything to be a distraction, which means they're doing what? Trying to cook up an excuse to make sure he don't make that 53-man roster, because it was pointed out today that he could zoom all the way to number one because he's better than Joe Flacco. He's better than Kenny Pickett. He's better than Dylan Gabriel. So nothing's stopping him from that QB1 spot that the league was trying to stop him from on draft night. And I said that was going to happen. See, they locked him out of the first round because he's elite QB1 talent, which means he will be number 17 of black starting quarterbacks, 17 of 32, making black starting quarterbacks, QB1s, the majority. That's what they're hiding. That is against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That is discriminatory. And they just did it in 2021. Settled $1 billion lawsuit, which is why you heard me say $100 million is not enough. So there are a few flimsy narratives out there that just aren't sticking. The voices in support of Shedeur are getting louder and louder. If you go to anybody's section where they're trying to justify this young man who's elite QB1 talent, who are trying to equate him with fifth round talent, the comments coming hard and fast, and they are getting chewed up. One thing about social media, people have the right to comment. They have a right to comment. And the consensus is everybody loves Shedeur. That's the consensus. And that's the person you want to pick. I'm not gonna even say you want to pick a fight with. That's the person the NFL wants to pick on. So I'm glad that fan filed that lawsuit. I'm waiting on the next one, and it's coming. We gonna see what they do. We gonna see what they do if they cut him or not. Because if you cut him after he balled out, because you say he needed to come in and ball out, if you want to start making excuses, talking about he's a distraction, if you're trying to find a reason to get him off your roster when he need to be your QB1, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have a problem, and it ain't gonna be $100 million because you already guilty in 2021. It's only 2025. It's already documented how badly the NFL discriminates against black quarterbacks in the NFL draft. That's what we witnessed. That's what we witnessed. So the flimsy story is not sticking. People that are speaking up, keep speaking up. See you, aunties. I see you. Salute. Keep going. Send me an application fee. I'll fill it out. I'll pay it. I'll wear the merch, whatever. Because I don't play about Shedeur Sanders. Bucky stopped by. Appreciate you, Bucky. I'm not playing. I've been following this young man too long for y'all to do this foolishness. You go play with somebody else and see if you get away with it. So, y'all not going to even play with certain people. See, people think, one, people do what you allow. Number one. That's number one. Number two, people know who they could play with, or so they thought. The NFL don't want the fans revolting. I see Cleveland out there trying to sell their tickets with no fees. And here's the thing. Had they drafted Shedeur at number 2, they might be sold out. But now they want to play. They want to act like he truly is 5th round talent. They was going to wait to see how low he went. Why? Because they knew he wasn't getting drafted at all. So the flimsy stories are not sticking. The history is there. So let's talk about Doug Williams, because I see similarities in the way Doug Williams was treated and Shedeur Sanders. And they both are black NFL quarterbacks. So Doug Williams came out, I would say around the 70s. He went to Grambling. He was the first black quarterback in the first round, but he went number 17. Does anybody remember me saying who went first round, first overall, and who was it and what year was it? So we talking about from the 70s to where? The quarterback that went first, black quarterback overall, is Michael Vick. That was in early 2000s. So look at the gap between the first quarterback taken in the 70s and Michael Vick first overall. So first round, number 17, Doug Williams. And only one NFL coach went out to interview him. So I guess they was going to collude against him until Gibbs is the last name, who went out there, spent 2 days talking to him, suggested that Tampa Bay draft him. First, they did. He was a star with them, despite all the ugliness they said. And then he even had to deal with racism within the team, the coaching staff. Gibbs was on the opposite end of the field after seemingly something that happened to Russell Wilson and to Jalen Hurts, with their coaches being rude and disrespectful to them publicly. Gibbs stood up again, knowing that this was not coaching. This was something else. That's what it's referred to. This was something else. It wasn't coaching. It wasn't hard coaching. It was something else. And Gibbs told Nielsen, don't you ever talk to him like that again. And that coach never demeaned him again. See, everybody's not happy with black quarterbacks at all, and then elevated to where Shedeur would be if he was drafted number 2. Now, as of yet, and nobody wants to do it, believe me, has disrespected Shedeur publicly on a football field during practice. But Shedeur Sanders has been disrespected. Understand that. He was defamed. His character was trashed. And he did nothing wrong. He has no character issues. I heard the reporter ask Shedeur Sanders about assimilating to the NFL. You meant get acclimated? Assimilate wasn't the right word. See, they keep trying to say he's entitled. He thinks highly of himself. He has an entourage. They keep trying to hang negativity around his neck. And it's not even justifiable. There are people that probably could use that label, but not this young man. And it tells you that these defamatory statements that they have since moved on from, that they want to let stay there, and there has been no repercussions with these coaches that put out these defamatory statements, they should be fired. They should have already been fired. But no, they get to work another day after defaming this young man. And for the Cleveland Browns franchises who would have a fit or panic if Shedeur Sanders was drafted at number 2 and considered your QB1, y'all don't know football. And you have whatever y'all had is what you deserve. Shedeur is too good for Cleveland. They don't respect him. They don't appreciate him. They try, and I don't think some of these people speak for all of the fans. I know that there are fans that are happy to have Shedeur. It's probably the parents of all the students at John Marshall High School and others. So there are people out here speaking for everybody when they're probably really speaking for themselves. If any Cleveland fan has a problem with Shedeur Sanders being QB1, you have a bigger problem than who playing football and leading the team on Sundays. You know what it is. Because as much of a drought and desert y'all have been in at QB with the revolving door, you ought to be happy that you even have Shedeur Sanders. And then let's talk about how much he's being paid, because they owe him money. Believe me, they owe him money. The same thing happened to Doug Williams. He was paid the lowest. He was paid $120,000 when he was paid less than the backups because he was black. They devalued him. Something the NFL has been accused of recently of devaluing black quarterbacks in the NFL draft like they did Shedeur. They defamed Lamar Jackson. He has a slight. He's this. He's better off as a wide receiver. This everything because they didn't want dual threat quarterbacks because of the athleticism that dual threat quarterbacks possess. Mel Kiper Jr., I finally had a chance to listen to his interview on draft day. He was upset, visibly upset. Now, remember, Mel Kiper Jr. was also the person on his own podcast that he was on with Phil Yates, where an NFL insider communicated to him before the combine, that they didn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. They didn't want that kind of quarterback. Why not? You don't want elite QB1s, or you don't want elite black QB1s? Because what happened? I mean, let's be honest. What happened? They defamed Shedeur. They also pushed Jalen Milroe down. Dillon Gabriel is also a person of color. They pushed him down too. Dillon Gabriel sat on the stage as a finalist as in the Heisman. If they want to say it's because he's too short, how tall was Drew Brees? They know that that's not the case. They know Kyler Murray isn't that tall either. There are other quarterbacks that out there who are about the same height. He's not 5'7" or 5'8". He's 5'11" and probably some change. And now they have two persons of colors fighting for number 3 and number 4 behind a 40-year-old and a QB2. When they are probably better than both of them. Let's just be honest. They know what they're doing. They want to maintain the racial hierarchy at the QB1 position because you've heard multiple people say it. The QB1 position is the most important position on the team. So they undervalued Doug Williams to the point where when he asked for the same money as others, he set out and they lost and lost and lost and lost and lost. And he took these people to a Super Bowl. Every time he was there, they won. But they didn't value him. He could make them money, but he couldn't get their respect. That's what they're doing to Shedeur right now. They took his money and they don't respect him. The organization he's with and the NFL during the draft. That's why the lawsuit has legs. Trying to convince us after the fact of what we already know about Shedeur Sanders is that he's an elite QB. He was top 3 in the draft and that he should have gone to Cleveland at number 2 because why? Cleveland pursued Shedeur extensively. So somebody's going to need to prove why Cleveland pivoted it and met with Dillon Gabriel secretly and didn't tell Shedeur. Somebody's gonna have to explain that. So they might as well just go and get the little lie ready. But they are receipts. There are receipts as to the first time you wanted to meet with Dylan. There are receipts that it was secret because you said it out loud. There are receipts that Cleveland's owners said what on March 31st? That we took a big swing and missed with Deshaun Watson. You knew that before March 31st. You knew that in 2023 because Deshaun Watson got there in 2022. You knew that. So you was playing with the young man. That's what you were doing. You're going to need to explain that. And it just explains the incompetence that has come from this organization over and over and over and over, which brings me to my poll today about teams who should be forced to sell because they are persistently poor in performance. And they took part in Shedeur Sanders' defamation and being forced out of the draft and the prank that was carried out by the Ole Miss sweatshirt guy. So y'all let me know. Okay. Okay. So you can see right here. This is one of the polls that we essentially put out that said, will the Cleveland Browns fumble Shedeur Sanders and release him before the 53-man roster is set? Now, 71 people, thank y'all, decided to vote. And most people say no. They will keep Shedeur Sanders on the team. And some people, like myself, 39% believe, yes, it's the Browns, meaning they fumble quarterbacks in their careers all of the time. It's not anything new. So let's move on here. It says, wow, the NFL draft was painful. What NFL team needs new ownership now? Emphasis on now with 2 question marks. So there's 4 teams: the New Orleans Saints, the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, and the New York Giants. All 4 of these teams were chosen intentionally, and you see who's leading the way. The New York Giants, 54%. I agree, because this team was associated with the prank. And the NFL was associated with the prank because why? It passed out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to 2,000 people who did not need to know, and they lied and said it was the Falcons. They know exactly who was wearing the Ole Miss sweatshirt. The executive for the Atlanta Falcons' son does not go to Ole Miss. Even if he did get the number or somebody gave it to him, he did not make the call. And the call was made with inside information that only executives and above should have or would have, actually. So that's that poll. New York Giants are the first team people believe should sell their team immediately. I totally agree. I think that should be part of a lawsuit. That's part of the remedy and the relief. It seems that it works because why? The Washington Commanders used to be problematic this in the same way. And they have new ownership and they seem to be on the right path. And I heard they treat Jada Daniels with respect. So the minutes that left the Texans that is clearly headed to Washington on the O-line over there shouldn't be able to get away with what he got away with CJ Stroud. The second team that should be forced to sell, the New Orleans Saints. I know somebody that will be happy to hear that, at 20%. Why? Because the Saints refuses to acknowledge its fan base. I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. They had a picture of the coach that was fired, last name Allen.